Bonjour French 1. I'm going to try and move through this fairly quickly so that this is less than a 15-minute video, but if that means that you need to replay something so that you understand what's going on, or if you need to pause so that you can copy stuff down, definitely do that. For the first section of your exam, you will be asked to read a bio of a French pop star and answer some true-false questions. In that bio and those questions, you'll find the following words. Cheveux is hair, yeux are eyes, belle is beautiful, as in the feminine form, gentil is nice, fort is strong, généreuse is generous, as in the feminine form, sportive is athletic, again in the feminine form, elle n'est pas is she is not, péresseuse is lazy, timide is shy, nouveau is the word for new, elle déteste means she hates, une belle voiture de sport is a beautiful sports car, elle trouve les magazines chic très cool means she thinks that really chic, stylish stores are very cool. Elle adore voir de vieux films means she loves to see old movies. And elle préfère écouter les vieux CD de musique classique as she prefers to listen to old classical music CDs. On the second part of your test, you'll be asked to read a description of a classroom and again answer some true-false statements. Here are some of the vocab words from that section. La salle de classe is the classroom. Fenêtres are windows. Porte is door. Tableau is board. Table is table. The professeur is the teacher. Élèves are students. Des bureaux are some desks. Des chaises are some chairs. Filles are girls. Garçons are boys. Il y a is there is or there are. Il n'y a pas is there is not or are not. Ordinateur are computers. Télévision is a TV. Un lecteur de CD is a CD player. 5 is the number 5. 11 is the number 11. 13 is the number 13. 4 is the number 4. 2 is the number 2, and 24 is the number 24. The third section, again, will have you reading a birthday party invitation all in French, and again, answering some true-false questions. Here's some vocab from that section. Elle n'aime pas is she doesn't like. Elle aime bien is she really likes. Des frites are French fries. Une piscine is a pool. Au parc is at the park. Jouer aux cartes is to play cards. Jouer aux échecs is to play chess. Les sports are, of course, sports. Moi aussi means me too or me also. Avec les copains is with friends. Nager is to swim. Manger is to eat. And glace is ice cream. On the fourth section, you'll get a picture of a boy and a girl, and you'll have to read some true-false statements and decide based on the picture whether those statements about that boy and girl are true or false. So here's some of the statements you could see. Elle a les cheveux courts would mean she, as in the girl in the picture, has short hair. Il a les cheveux longs is he has long hair. Ils sont sportifs is they are athletic. Ils sont gros is they are fat. Elle a les cheveux blonds is she has blonde hair. Il a les cheveux noirs is he has black hair. Ils sont assez minces means they're pretty thin. And elle est petite is she is short. For part E, you're going to read a conversation, and then instead of answering true-false questions, they're going to give you sentences with two choices. So it might be that they say something like, the boy in the conversation likes to go, and you'll have to choose between au stade or à la bibliothèque. So again, it's a reading section, and these are some of the phrases and words you'll need to be familiar with. Au stade is at or to the stadium. À la bibliothèque is at or to the library. Régulièrement is regularly. Il joue très bien as he plays very well. Il joue très mal as he plays very badly. Je déteste is I hate. Tu aimes is do you like. Je n'aime pas le foot non plus is I don't like soccer either. Il préfère is he prefers. Lire is to read. Étudier is to study. And quelles sont tes activités préférées means what are your preferred or favorite activities. The next section is a quick little 2-question section all about culture. A couple things to remember. Whenever French people count on their hands with number 1, they don't start with their pointer finger. Instead, they start on their thumb. And when boys greet each other in France, they don't do the kissing on both cheeks situation. They actually shake hands. All right, there are 2 listening sections on the test. The first listening section is actually going to have you hear some phrases and decide who said it. It's going to be a question of whether it's something a teacher says or something a student says. So when you look over here, the reason why I have B's and A's is because some of these you can very clearly see that a teacher or a student said them if you want to think ahead to what the actual test will be like. Some of these are part of another phrase, so it kind of just depends, but I wanted to give you some ideas of what you should be thinking. So as far as what comment dit-on book en français means, is it means how do we say book in French? The person that would ask that, again, because that'll be the point of your listening, is of course a student. A student would need to know how do you say book in French. Aller au tableau means to go to the board, and the person that would probably say that would be a teacher. Ouvrez vos livres means open your books, and the person that would probably say that is also a teacher. Je te présente Luc is I'd like to introduce you to Luke. Really either person could say that, but I'd imagine that it's probably a student because generally students are the ones introducing their friends and things like that. S'il vous plaît is please, répétez is repeat, regardez le tableau is look at the board, that's probably something a teacher would tell you, and c'est une copine is she is a friend, that is the feminine version of friend, so you know it's a she here. The second listening section is going to is going to be a girl describing what she likes to do on the weekends, and basically using what she says, you're going to have to kind of map out the pictures of the places that she likes to go and the activities that she likes to do. So some of the phrases that you'll hear her mention, you'll hear her say, je n'aime pas, which is I don't like. Travailler is to work. J'aime bien is I really like. Faire les magasins is to do shopping. Aller au centre commercial is to go to the mall. Téléphone à des copains is to call friends. Sortir is to go out. Voir un film is to see a movie. De temps en temps is from time to time. Faire la fête is to party. Écouter de la musique is to listen to music. Lire is to read, and I know it got cut off here. Danser is to dance. Again, you'll hear her talk about how j'aime bien aller au centre commercial. J'aime aussi téléphoner à des copains. I really like to go to the mall. I also like to call friends. And you'll be matching those pictures up, a picture of somebody shopping and a picture of somebody talking on the phone, to put them in the correct order in which she mentions them. So again, that's a listening section. For part I on your exam, you will have to match questions with answers. So the reason why these lines are drawn out here is because these are some of the examples of questions and answers that you'll see, and you can see how they would kind of match up. Not all of them have the exact matches there. This isn't every single question from the final after all, but this will give you an idea of what to study. Il s'appelle comment means what is his name. Tu as quel âge means how old are you? Now, skipping ahead here, when you look down at number 5, j'ai 16 ans means I'm 16 years old. So on the test, you'll be matching on the left-hand side the question, tu as quel âge, how old are you? With on the right-hand side, j'ai 16 ans, I'm 16 years old. Comment allez-vous is how are you? Tu as un ami en classe is do you have a friend in class? We already talked about number 5. Quelle est ton adresse email? What is your email address? You'd have to spell that out for somebody just like you do in English. Il n'y en a pas, there are not any of them. Elle s'appelle, as her name is. Il y a un lecteur de DVD en classe. Is there a DVD player in class? And again, the reason why this is linked here with number 7 is because a very logical answer would be il n'y en a pas. There aren't any of them. And bien merci is good thanks, as in if somebody asks you, comment allez-vous? Bien merci. Good thanks. Again, this is a matching section in which you will match a question with a logical answer. You do not have to write these yourself. For part J, they're going to give you a verb and then some other things that have to do with that verb. So like, for example, they might give you lire, which is to read, and then list things like un magazine and un roman, a magazine and a novel. Your job is going to be to cross off the thing that doesn't belong because of its meaning. So you have to read and understand these vocab words and eventually cross off ones that do not belong. For now, just be familiar with these words. Parler is to talk or to speak. Faire un pique-nique is to do or have a picnic. Bande dessinée is a comic book or comic strip. A magazine is a magazine. Un roman is a novel. La fête is a party. La balle is a ball, as in a baseball. Un ballon is also a ball, but it's more of a soccer ball. See how it looks more like balloons? Soccer balls are inflated, so it's usually an inflatable version of a ball. Les vacances is vacation. Les mathématiques is math. La batte is a bat, as in a baseball bat. Journal is a newspaper. Le français is French, the language, and the class at school. La voiture de sport is a sports car. La musique is music. Le baladeur MP3 is an MP3 player. Écouteur are headphones, and jouer is to play. For part K, it'll be very much like this, and I believe the 4 questions that are on your final are also on your study guide, so don't necessarily worry about learning the gender of every single word we've ever learned, but they will give you the choices of filling in the blanks with either un, une, or des. It will not be a matching situation. You'll need to repeat them sometimes. So keep in mind how these work. You use des if an item's plural, use un if an item is masculine, une if it's feminine, and there's really no way to tell unless it's actually the words for boy or girl, whether it's masculine or feminine. You just have to have it memorized, which is why I give you some of the questions from the test on your final. For number 1, a fille is a girl, so it's une fille. Number 2, garçon is boy, so it's un garçon. Number 3, livre is book. It's masculine, un livre. Number 4, professeur are teachers. See how there's an S at the end, so it's got to be des professeurs. Number 5, bureau has an X at the end. It's desks, so it's got to be des bureaux. Chaise is feminine, so it's une chaise. Livre, books, has an S at the end, so it's got to be des livres. Fenêtre, the word for window, is feminine, so it's got to be une fenêtre. And télévision is also feminine, so une télévision. The next section has had a lot to do with what we just covered in class. Basically, it's going to look very similar to these. In fact, these questions are almost identical to the ones from the test. They're going to give you a describing word in parentheses. The describing word is in its original masculine form. You need to make that describing word agree with whatever the subject is. So if the subject is a girl, you'll have to add an E to it. If the subject is multiple boys, you'll have to add an S. And if the subject is multiple girls, you'll have to add an E and an S. That is, unless it's one of these exceptions, so make sure you take a look at the list here. Again, these are very similar to the ones in your test, so don't feel like you need to memorize every single one. On number 1, Luke and Julie, you have a boy and a girl, so we're thinking masculine plural here. It's like ils. Masculine plural form of serious, you actually can't add an S to it, so it stays the same, sérieux. For Sylvie, she's one girl, so when I go to change the word cute to make it feminine, normally you would add an E, but don't forget mignon's on our regular list. Mignon in the feminine form has an extra N before the E. Carla and Pauline are both girls, so that feminine plural form of fat is that irregular form where gros becomes gros with the extra E, S before the E rather, and you have to add an S to it to make a plural for both girls. Alicia is nice, is what we're trying to say on number 4, and the word nice has an irregular feminine form as well. Lots of irregularities here in case you haven't noticed. Me and Paul, that would be a boy and a girl, so we have to make this masculine and plural. It's already masculine, so I had an S to 4 to make that strong, match the masculine plural subject of oui. Garçons are boys, so I have to take créatif and make it more than one by adding an S. Again, do make sure that you look over this section very closely because the questions from the test are almost identical. Part M has you choosing a multiple choice section on the forms of être. This goes along with that song we've been brainwashing you with lately in class of je suis, tu es means I am, you are. Il est means he is, use elle for a girl. Nous sommes, we are, vous êtes is plural and formal. Use ils sont for groups of men and mixed ils sont for groups of girls. Again, it'll be multiple choice. You won't have to know these off the top of your head, but Laurie is one girl, the elle form is a, nous form is sommes, tu form is a, je form is suis, vous form is et, and the one that really catches people off guard is les élèves. Les élèves are students, so that's boys or girls. Ils or elles is sont. Here's another section, kind of like the en une day section, except now your choices are all the word the, various forms of the word the. Keep in mind that les gets used when stuff is plural, L apostrophe if it starts with a vowel, le if it's masculine, la if it's feminine, and again, several of these questions are taken directly from your test. So book, livre, is masculine, so le livre. École, school, starts with a vowel, so it's L apostrophe, l'école. Radio, if radio, is feminine, so it's la radio. Télévision is feminine, so it's la télévision. Vacances has an S at the end, it's plural, les vacances. Poster has an S at the end, posters is plural, les posters. Professeur is a teacher, technically could be le or la. And les bandes dessinées are comics, as in it's plural, it's got to be les. For part O, it'll be a matching section. They will give you the subject pronouns in a box, and you'll have to use each one once. Basically, you're looking at the form of the verb in each of these. You'll have to know your forms of avoir, so you'll have to know j'ai, ai, tu as, as, il a, elle a, nous avons, vous avez, il et elle, ont. And you'll also have to notice some of these have ER verbs, which is that s, s, on, s, ons. So folks, when you look at number 1, you'll see that ave is the vous form of avoir. For the number 2, avons is the nous form of avoir. For number 3, that es ending happens with tu. For number 4, that a form of avoir is with il or elle or on. For number 5, ont is the ils and elles form of avoir. Number 6, ai, je is the je form of avoir. On number 7, you'll notice that présent ends in just the letter E. That means it's the je form of that er verb. And for the tu form of avoir on number 8, you'll see a, and that's how it clues you in. The last 2 sections are writing sections. I'm going to go ahead and show you some examples here. When you have to talk about what you like to do and where, you'll start your sentence with things like j'aime or j'adore. You'll put the activity in its original form, and then you'll put the place. You might need to pause the video to copy down my examples, and you could always write your own, but those are 3 simple ways of doing that. And finally, on part Q, you'll have to describe yourself, giving your name, your age, 2 personality descriptions, and 2 physical. Make sure you make them feminine if you're a girl. We'll talk more in class.